Hello and welcome to Sim Strategy Gaming. I'm Sim. This episode will be about the second downloadable content for Railway Empire 2, High Voltage. We find ourselves in Switzerland in the early 20th century. Looking at our mission objectives, we see that building an electric line between Zurich and Winterthur, that will come on just immediately, and then transport the 80 wagons on a single line connecting Zurich, Ruti, and Zug. That would also be very easy with the setup that we have made. And then it's to focus on reaching 60,000 citizens in Zurich. And the way that I've done this is to build this circular zone here in the canton of Zurich, so that all of the cities are connected and all of the connection bonuses, starting the trains, of course, in the actual connection bonuses, so that they roll in absolutely as fast as possible, like this. Things to be said about this downloadable content, this extra levels, is that I have this way of constructing rails where this is the main line, the main road. It goes clockwise and it goes counterclockwise. The, and these are more freight-only lines that bring in goods onto the main line here, livestock for Ruti, and here vegetables, and here milk, and here wheat, all destined for Zurich, so that Zurich will have absolute growth, since that is the mission objective. It's very early, very important that Zurich will have as fast as growth as possible, or else we wouldn't be able to expand into these other regions around that are still disallowed to us. So we have to test out these electric lines before the politicians will let us roll them out all over the rest of eastern Switzerland. And then to have all of these main lines, they are electrified, because it costs only to electrify a line. The cost of electrifying has to do with how many lines are electrified, and has nothing to do with how many trains are on them. So on these main lines, I would like to have as many as possible trains. I have to be careful in the beginning not to put too many trains on. I still need something to do. But on this tiny little freight-only lines, single liners, there will only be one train. And then it is much more profitable to not electrify them, and rather rely on building supply depots that we will be able to afford as soon as we have the connection bonuses coming in. We find ourselves very late in the game, and one can, with the technology, one can have 300 invention points to start with, and then one can pick one of these electrified trains. Not this one, that might come later if one needs it, but this will be the best electrified train to start out with. And then that can be used for both passenger traffic and freight lines. Or even they have 200% reactive powers. These electrical trains, at least the later ones, are really something. High speed and high tractive power, can pretty much go straight uphill. And then for these freight only lines that one doesn't want to electrify, one can use the mountain, which has even a bit higher tractive power, but a bit lower speed and lower popularity. I really don't find any need to spend invention points on any other trains than that. So I will only use these two. One might consider upgrading at some point to the better, little bit better SPV, but Metropolitan Vickers is more than decent enough, and it costs 600 invention points to reach the little bit better train. One must also pay heed as soon as one starts up this game that the order of the goods are changed a little bit. Wheat is always important, and so is lumber, meat, and sugar. But vegetables in this downloadable content in this mission is becoming much more important than it used to be, and also milk. Beer is less important, comes into play later on. Fruit, then called pears here, are about as important as it used to be, and then one should pay heed to this and look through, see that there are made some changes, and always think about what kind of goods are needed at which point in the game for which size of cities that they need this kind of goods to further grow. Also that this resource here, this Swiss herbs, they are also one of those factory-only goods. There's no need to have them on the main line. They should go straight into cheese factories, dairy factories. And now about half a year, or a little bit more than that later, we've been able to achieve our first set of mission objectives, and then particularly growing Zurich into becoming a more or less a proper city. Now, further on from here, we are going to go into the St. Valen canton and produce some cheese there, and focus on growing St. Gallen into becoming a proper city, and then further on connect more rural businesses to our rail network, but that will come on quite easily. But let's see what we have done so far. I made for this, remade this connection to the livestock and the vegetables here in the center of the Zurich zone into becoming an electrified line. So now they are being mixed transportations here around, so they can go more directly from Ruti to Zurich. That being in many ways a better solution, I think, to have mixed transportation. Can have a quick look and see how they are doing these trains. 4 trains here, and then transporting a little bit of everything. Also transporting one of the important things that there aren't that much meat on this map, so then to have Zurich being directly fed from the butchery in Ruti, so that they now have a very nice fulfillment on demand. So of course, some of these more advanced factory goods aren't that easy to provide it with, but all of the basic goods at least are coming in nicely. Can have a quick look at the flow of goods. See this wheat resource up here? It goes straight down to Ruti, but and then being redistributed from warehouses like this. One little trick to do is that I paid back my smallest loan, and then I took up a bigger loan, so that I had more money to expand and to have more trains put on the lines. Still, at this point, I haven't really filled it up to the brim. One can see now that there are 3% waiting time here, zero, zero, 0%. There is still room for more trains on this single line going around the Zurich zone, but still there aren't that much to do yet. Many of these trains are running half full, some of them are full, but there wouldn't be any point in trying to maximize the amount of trains quite yet. One can see that it takes about 24 days to go around, and that should make for at least being able to have 8 trains. And then I have 6 now in each direction. We're divided on 2 set of lines like this because I have to want to start them in several connection bonuses. So then instead of just having 2 lines, I had 4 lines so that all the connection bonuses would roll in the early part of the game. And then, about 18 months into the game, we made for our second set of mission objectives. Transport 150 passengers from Vaduz to St. Gallen with an electrical line. Built up St. Gallen quite a bit, and also made for a mountain cheese factory there of our own that are producing and running well. And just along the way, we connected 15 rural businesses to our network. And the way that I did this was to tie the entire St. Gallen region, kind of a long, big circular zone here that is functioning very well in many ways. Had to move about a little bit here and then go along the terrain line, but it's still possible to place this station in this horizontal direction. The St. Gallen region was so big that it took some time to build it all, and I didn't want to wait until I had all the money in order to build it all at once. And there were also some connection bonuses here, kind of big ones actually, in Glarus and Vaduz. So then I built this piece by piece, laying for first the stretch up to St. Gallen to get that start growing, further on to the Appenzell, and then to Vaduz to get that connection bonus, and then built from the other side from Ruti to Gladus to get that connection bonus, and then in the end made them connected it all, and then when I had this circle, I could put on trains going in the counterclockwise and of course the clockwise direction. All of the resources outside or inside of the circle would then be connected on to a city. And this solution that I made here, I think it's kind of clever. It's sort of a long way from Tullman until Vaduz, and then it goes through this Fox, which has a warehouse for wheat. But then if I only had this going straight into the warehouse there, that would make for a lot of extra traffic here, and often these trains will be full, and then it will fill up there. But one train from this one wheat resource can go all the way down here and then supply the Vaduz brewery, while also simultaneously being able to drop some of the wheat off at the warehouse in Fuchs and then go straight to Appenzell. And then my mates, of course, absolutely sure that this our own cheese factory is running full capacity. It seems here that it had been dropping a little bit because it needs both the milk and these mountain herbs that are close by, but not necessarily immediately close. So I think I'm rather going to rebuild this Alberts to the milk care to go straight into St. Gallen, and then sometimes one would have to set up little extra lines to go from these resources and into the factories in order to make sure that the factories are actually running. In addition to this, I expanded upon the Zurich line that used to go from Zurich to Urti. And now there is a cross here that meets at the vegetable resource here in Walter. Everybody needs vegetables on this Switzerland map. The Swiss are particularly fond of vegetables, very healthy for you. So now there is one electrified line going here from Zug to Rutti through a hotel, and then one from Zurich to Winterthur. Also, and all of them joining at this hotel that is becoming quite busy, so that everybody can go on the inside and also on the outside of the circle, alleviating some of the pressure from these trains that are now going round and around. And I think I have filled them up pretty much to the brim here. This is actually might be too many. 7 in 14 in each direction. That's sort of a lot, but there is a lot to do, and one just have to pay heed to this waiting time, that it doesn't become too much. Also a hotel here at Bittner, so that people from St. Gallen can go straight to Winterthur and Zurich through a hotel here, and doesn't necessarily have to stop at Rutti and go all the way back, making for more efficient the transportation. Now that there are 2 zones, there might be used for warehouses, but both of these zones, the Zurich zone and the St. Gallen zone, has their own wheat. They both have lumber, so no need for interchanging there. Just bring it on to the line like this. Double warehouse here, where there of course would be mirrored lumber and pairs at both warehouses, so that they just immediately jump over. Not too much meat on this map, but very centrally nice placed in the middle here. So one in the Switzerland maps, one more has to rely on building the proper factories. Often the cities they start out as very small with no factories, and then to prioritize meat production is a good thing, as long as the cities are close to livestock. Sugar, there is absolutely more than enough sugar. I neglected to connect this sugar resource because there are so much, one here in St. Gallen, one in the middle, and one belonging to the Zurich zone. Vegetables also, both zones, one in the middle of Zurich and one here at Appenzell. Milk also on both zones. An extra milk here in south of Zug, so that will be taken more than care of. Beer as well, 2 on each zone. Pears, both in each zone. Lots of resources here, so that the cities can really start out small, but they grow big kind of soon. And then it seems that I haven't. There are also mountain cheese at both places, and both are getting enough of their herbs. And then this, what used to be a very important resource, this cloth, it isn't important at such an early stage. Here there is demand, of course, for cloth because of the fashion factory, but otherwise St. Gallen, let's see, yes, St. Gallen is also needing there, so then one should perhaps put up a warehouse here, which I haven't done yet, because there is so little to be interchanged in between these 2 zones, that I could wait a little bit. And besides that, there aren't enough to supply the Zurich zone, and then it's important to keep on growing Zurich, because that is going to be one of the optional objectives, to grow Zurich into becoming a really big metropolis. And now, a bit more than 2 years into the game, we made for our third set of mission objectives very soon. That would be to transport 200 passengers from St. Gallen to Schaffenhausen with an electrical line, grow the canton of St. Gallen further on, and then produce even more mountain cheese in our factory in St. Gallen, and transport that on to Torgau, the canton of Torgau, and make sure that the cheese is reaching there, and also construct a library at Constance. And the way that I did this, things are starting to looking a little bit more complex, but we remember this Zurich zone that we had, that is now being made into a 4-lane system with the passenger lines and mixed lines in the outer rim to properly ensure that we have enough. And this cross have been made into 2 intersecting circles, so that there are enough capacity to take care of this. Now that Zurich and Winterthur and Ruti and Zug all becoming university cities with a lot of production and a lot of passengers, really making us a lot of money from that region. And having over 2 million a week now, we can feel the freedom of being able to make what we want. Not so much that happened to the St. Gallen region, but we expanded this line here that used to be only a freight line coming with lumber pairs, and the milk has also been redirected. It wasn't such a good idea to take it into Appelcell, because it is so important to make the cheese factory around here, that is our own cheese factory, that is supplying Schaffhausen up here with the cheese required for the mission objective, and also has the computer have built fondue factory here that also requires cheese. So it's particularly important that St. Gallen is getting milk directly. And in addition to that, we have this herbs down here that needs to go to St. Gallen as well. And sometimes I will set up an extra train to St. Gallen in order to make absolutely certain that they get all of the herbs that they are supposed to have. And now it seems that they don't have the herbs. And in those cases, we'll have to check here, see are there herbs here. Lots of herbs, but the problem is too little transportation. So then one just sets up a direct extra line here, making sure that they are fully loaded with herbs, and perhaps even 2 of these trains to make sure, and then delete them later on, because otherwise they would clog up the main traffic, which is becoming more and more only 2 lines for one in each direction for this big region that is definitely starting to grow quite a bit. That is too little, but still I haven't had the money to expand it into a 4-lane zone quite yet, because there were other things that were more pressing. And then to build this Turog zone here, that also includes Constance, even though that's a German city, being part of the Württemberg zone here. But since Constance would also a mission objective to grow Constance into having being big enough to have a library. Libraries require 50,000 citizens. Then to have Constance being part of both the Turog zone and also the Baden Württemberg zone that one can see over here. Also connected to Rogue zone and Württemberg zone with a hotel here at Monsterman, so that passengers can have an easier ride from, say, Tuttlingen until Schaffhausen. And then we can see this. There is this split here with 3 hotels in between 3 zones: the Turag zone, the St. Gallen zone, and the Zurich zone, all being connected here with the hotels at Bittner, Mangold, and Schultz. And these hotels are pretty, more or less pretty busy. These zones are quite big, so that they leave out a lot of resources in the middle. The zones are pretty much going made to go through the cities, and then if of course if there are resources directly placed there, then I let the main line go through these resources, and sometimes the resources also serves as hubs or hotel spots. But if there are things that are left in the middle, I would rather build little crosses, or in this case I would build intersecting circles in the middle, so that there will also be hotels here at the Schroeder and Becker in between the 2 eastern and western inner zones of Turag, like this. And then there is the Baden zone here. It's also important to develop this region because it connects directly into Zurich, that we need to be growing. Zurich is going to become a city of 135,000 citizens. And in order to achieve that, one really need to focus on that right away. And now I can see that the cheese factory isn't running, and because it gets too little of the mountain herbs. So later on I will make for a solution that connects the mountain herbs here to the inner line. Often the inner lines are less, inner circles are less busy than the outer circles. The outer circles very often turn extraordinarily busy, but then if one can connect these herbs on here, say to Rutter, for example, then it will alleviate a lot of the pressure and make sure that these mountain herbs, that there are more than enough, but it's not reaching Zurich in time due to this high demand. Also developed the Lucerne zone here. Little peculiar development here. There is this circle here with Lucerne, Zurich, and it goes down to a hotel here at Varus, and at one hotel here at Monsterman. But then it also goes further on down into a perpendicular place, the station at Saren, that needs to have this 4-lane grid in order for it to be. It is still part of a circle. The trains, they come down here to Newman and then up again, and that makes for a circle in both the case of Saren and Altdorf. But then not everybody needs to go all the way up and down to Altdorf, so then it's important to have this interchanging hotel spots. No particular need for the coal just right yet. The sugar is of course very much needed, but then still to use this natural resource as interchanging hub. And then make sure that particularly this meat here is really good to have to come up to Zug, because there aren't that much meat on the map as of yet. Here it seems that I've built an extra line, one that goes I haven't been able to expand all of these zones into 4 lanes, but since it was so crucial for St. Gallen to be transporting cheese directly to Schaffenhausen, then I built this. Here there is an extra expansion in order to make sure that Schaffhausen gets what it needs. And then there are, of course, an inner circle, a normal circle, and then also a line placed parallel to that circle. Now that there are so many zones and so many cities, so much to keep in order, it's important to go over and look at the flow of goods, see which cities are getting what. Here there are interchanging wheat between Baden and Zurich, but otherwise wheat should be kept as local as possible. Of course, one has warehouses here where wheat is just brought straight into the city, moved into the city, and then redistributed from there. But otherwise, wheat should be kept as local as possible, and try to make sure that every zone has their own wheat, or perhaps even 2 wheat. Up here in Ullingen as well, it's been brought on to this zone. That seems to be crisscrossing confusion, but there isn't, because there isn't any demand at the end of this freight-only line. With lumber, Zurich has its own lumber. Here I made this extra little station here in the middle, so that this this lumber is brought on to this station that doesn't really serve any other purpose than to be a maintenance depot, and also to have the lumber up here instead of down there, because it would be a strange path if I had to go all over this. There are lots of mountains in Switzerland. One doesn't need to build so many tunnels and bridges. One can play with the general on this map, even though it has a serious drawback when it comes to bridges and tunnels. But if I were to play this level again, I would play it as a general, because with clever planning, one can easily go by these valleys, and we see that there aren't that many bridges. Most of these are just ordinary tracks. And of course, there is a lot of freight and mail being dragged over. Mail, particularly on these big maps, mail is becoming more and more the main profits. We see that we are making about as much money on mail alone as we are making. Mail makes up more than half of our revenue. So post offices, as soon as the map starts growing a bit, is much more profitable than restaurants. So with lumber, most of places here have lumber. One extra lumber coming in from Constance, that also might seem to be a conflict, but as this is on between the zones, one can actually have more lumber coming through Constance, and we can see that it connects to this inner circle here. St. Gallen zone having lumber on each side. So this line now in between Glarus and St. Gallen, it has a warehouse with the lumber in both ends, so that lumber is being quickly and efficiently distributed. Meat is one of those challenging things, actually. The Ruti butchery is doing its absolutely best in order to keep up, and has grown quite a bit. Get its livestock from just up here, but it takes care of a huge region. And then this, in order for not too much traffic to be going around, then I have a warehouse here in the middle, this Walter, doesn't have a maintenance depot, but only serves as a hub with a hotel that's running very fine, and also lots of resources that are being transported through this cross in between. Luckily, we're having one butchery down here at Lucerne as well, but otherwise there really aren't that many butcheries. So one of the things to do on this map is to buy up more industry. That of course that will cost some money, and you also be responsible for upgrading. But say here at Valsat, I'm a little bit. I had the opportunity to buy a butchery here and connect it to this livestock resource, but I waited because I wanted to build all these zones and use the money for tracks and locomotives. But now the Baden region are suffering due to that. This butchery down all the way down in Rutti can hardly supply, say, Waldorf and Ullingen. That they are lagging behind there. Sugar, lots of sugar around Zurich, sugar at Lausanne, lots of sugar. Haven't even connected to this extra sugar down here at St. Gallen because St. Gallen is pretty much being taken care of. Also, Tuog has its own sugar, and this is the same with Württemberg. And then and there are also sugar here up at Baden. So sugar is being taken care of very nicely. Lots of these resources are very nicely placed. Of course, vegetables for Zurich, but that is not also being exported. So many vegetables have been produced there now in the middle of the cross that it can take care of the Lucerne region as well. But one can see here that Altdorf and Zaren, they aren't really getting everything that they need. It's lagging a little bit behind there. But not everything can be perfect right away. St. Gallen, of course, having their vegetables. Likewise with Torog. And then say no. Here we need to redistribute from Torog to Württemberg vegetables to a warehouse connection. 2 stations there. So that they one belonging to each zone, and then of course these warehouses would be mirrored. A lot of action here actually. They have to be the same in each warehouse. Let's see, with the milk also needs to be transported the same way from Torag to Württemberg to Constance, and then Baden has its own milk that now is also going into Zurich. I might want to change this because I see I have 2 milk resources down here at Lucerne, so perhaps I think I'm going to do that later on. Make for an interchanging between Lucerne and Zurich zone here at Zug, while this really big, this resource here, this milk resource is producing much more than these 2 combined together, but these 2 are going to grow big, while this can serve Zurich in particular, and then the Baden zone. Beer is not so absolutely crucial as it used to be in the ordinary main game, but we can see that there are enough beer neatly placed around, so we don't really have to take too much care of that. You don't have to worry about it. It's very evenly and nicely distributed all over the map. The pears, the Swiss fruit, not so much into apples there, more into pears. You can see that have to be redistributed here, going through from Zurich into Baden, and Württemberg has its own, and then in here it's at St. Gallen. We have to redistribute it into Turog, but Turog is also touching upon. Turog is so central that it hardly needs its own pear resource because it gets it from like Constanze being part of two zones, Schaffenhausen being part of two zones, Winterthur being part of the Zurich and the Tog. So that also came out pretty nicely. Mountain cheese, we're actually keeping up with production here. St. Gallen, we had we own the St. Gallen mountain cheese factory, redistributing into Württemberg and also into its own zone, into the huge St. Gallen zone. And then Zurich, here very neatly placed now in between, since Zurich is supposed to be growing. Having it in between two zones is the best. So that takes care of both the Baden and Zurich, and also transports down to Lucerne. Lucerne, they aren't needing mountain cheese yet, but still, it's good to have this connection and to see that everything is sort of coming along. It's very easy to forget it later on, so set it up as soon as possible. Cloth needs to be a little bit of redistribution of cloth. Aren't that much, but still cloth comes into play much later in this scenario than previous scenarios. But still to see that this is being taken care of, and that it goes to both Baden and Württemberg, to a warehouse in Constanz and a warehouse at Schaffhausen. Fashion, having too little fashion, and when there are too little, there is no need to transport it long distances. So there are just these two fashion factories. And then St. Gallen, also way too little fondue. It is Swiss people crazy about their fondue. Not quite sure what to do with the hair up in Tullingen. I don't think that this one is running. No, doesn't get its mountain cheese. Yeah, because there is mountain cheese up here, and then perhaps later on that will start working, and then we can export some of it, or at least feed the Constance. Liquor, way too little liquor, only one up here in Zurich that is actually running. Very important to make sure that this is running, but it gets enough sugar and enough pears. There is only the mountain herbs that I have to focus on. Salt is also now becoming important, but one can see now that there is only this one salt, though that actually there are two. One here at Glarus that serves the St. Gallen zone, and but that is not so very much, just 2 wagon loads per week. But this one had time to grow quite a bit, so 8 loads here can pretty much take care of everything besides St. Gallen through this setup that one can see here. One warehouse in Zug and one warehouse in Constanz to connect Zurich, Torog, Württemberg, and then there was no particular point at this point. I mean, this cities up here at Baden, they are so small, but so I didn't bother with that as of yet. I'd rather make it so that the salt is first of all foremost reaching Zurich, which is the absolute most important thing. So don't spread it too much around. Perhaps I should shut down this at Zug to make sure that Zurich is getting what it needs. See how much salt is coming in here now. Lagging a little bit behind, but still doing more or less okay. Then planks and such, pretty evenly distributed. It doesn't have any salted meat. That's also one of those little difficult things to be making. Little meat and little salt on the map, and then to combine these two together might require too much money, too much focus on industry that we're going to steal away the money from rail laying, and rail laying being the absolutely most profitable. Little bit of paper being produced, very neatly connected to Zurich that needs the paper, most with the paper. Haven't started on any coal or steel industry, but then there are some demand here for minerals, and to have this mineral resource really working for us, it should perhaps, I think that later on I'm going to focus more on getting it in the direction of Zurich, and then perhaps cut off this warehouse here at Schaffenhausen in order to make sure that Zurich is getting everything that it needs. As of now, because it doesn't demand any yet. But as soon as it becomes in demand, I think I will make sure that that it flows in the direction of Zurich. Have a little look at this rails that we have set up, filling them up to the absolute brim now, so one can check here and see, 12%, that might be something wrong. Might have been a little bit too ambitious, putting up too many trains on this. Trying a trick would be to how many trains should one put on, and then to go and look at the duration in days and divide that by 3 and say that, okay, that's going to be around 13 trains, and then I take a little bit more, just being hopeful, and then I see how that goes, and if that turns out to be more than 5, I start to worry a bit. If it's more than 10, there is definitely need to reduce the number of trains, but there might also be other reasons. If I set up these special little lines in between that goes directly to fill up, say with what I said, to have these herbs coming into to St. Gallen, and also herbs going to Zurich. I might set up an extra line like this here, and that will of course block the traffic. But then as soon as this has done its job, I will delete it. But still, that would make for more delays, and one have to take that into account, as well as how many stations there are. But then we made for our next set of mission objectives. We have been focusing a lot on laying electrical rails. I really dig on these electrical rails. That they are fantastic, high speed and high good tractive power, and very and doesn't have to stop for supplies all the time, which is also a fantastic thing. So now later on we are going to focus on the canton of Graubünden, and transport the wagons in the cities of Graubünden, Schur, Avers, and Davos. And then also more difficult mission in order to bring liquor from Graubünden to Torog, and that will have to go through the St. Gallen region. So then one must make absolutely certain that the liquor from Graubünden passes through St. Gallen, and that isn't being eaten up by the liquor-hungry people that here at Appelzell and St. Gallen. Appelzell producing some liquor on its own, but there is always demand for liquor, and here in Valdus too. So now as we make for a liquor factory here in Davos, that's because it's right between sugar and pears here, so it will have enough. And we must make for a line that goes all the way here, all through St. Gallen, Weinfelden being part of Torog, but that is too small, it doesn't demand liquor yet, and has to go all the way up to Schaffhausen, and make sure that this line is serving that particular purpose. Also having the optional tasks that we must prepare ourselves mentally to, connecting 1.1 million citizens to railway network. That is no problem at all. If we do these circles and connect the circles to each other, that will grow all the cities more or less generally and good. And then now really focus more on Zurich, making sure that Zurich doesn't lag behind. As soon as it becomes more than 100,000 citizens, then it is going to start to demand a lot of ordinary resources and more of the advanced resources. And also the other cities, due to this general growth that comes from this circular approach, they will going to be eating up there's resources on the way, so we have to do some tricks there. I'll come back to that later. And also transport some passengers from Ruti to Ensure. So then this Graubunden region will be connected here, as I said, to go to Schaffhausen, but also there will have to be a line here from Ruti, Glarus, and further down to Sure, in order to achieve that mission objective. But that's also a good idea. I mean, sometimes the investors aren't completely crazy. They're actually guiding you in the right direction. There are some other missions where you get these absolutely insane mission objectives. But on this map, I think it's quite reasonable, the demands that we are getting from our investors. And then produce 12 loads of mountain cheese per week in our factories. We can just go in here right away and achieve that as soon as possible. Actually, just have to bump this up like this, and then ping, task complete. And then, after a little bit more than 3 years of gameplay, we've been able to achieve all our mission objectives in just the shortest while. Particularly growing the canton of Graubunden into becoming a really big circle, and then also reached 145,000 citizens in Zurich. That took quite some attention to do. But let's see how we did. Yes, and then it is completed. And we achieve Chief Executive. We have completed all our optional tasks. And we've been able to make 5th. And I'm really proud of myself. This is a really hard mission, and not so many people have been able to complete it. So let's go straight in to see how we did this. First of all, growing this Graubunden made for a really big, nice circle here. Now that I have so much money, I just built 4 lanes right away. But no passenger lines there, because the mission is to grow the cities, and we are earning enough money anyways. We might earn a little bit more money from passenger-only lines, particularly if we're using this dedicated express trains, but now there are no particularly need for express trains. These mixed lines, the electrical lines, they serve all purposes, freight, mixed and passengers alike. So not so much problem there. Attached onto all of these nice resources from way down south into Avers, into the Graubunden zone, and made for this big cross in the middle, hotels here at Olrog and Valdevit, that brings on further resources into buying up a lot of this, particularly here, this sugar resource north of Davos, and also they didn't buy the pears. It seemed to be more than enough pears. Pears not so much in demand, but particularly needed here at Davos, where we have built our distillery that is running fine, and then there is even an extra little sugar line going here. Make absolutely sure that Davos is getting its sugar. But then built this enormously long line all the way, Bobadus, up through Fuchs, Appenzell, St. Gallen, Weidfelden, and Schaffhausen. Lots of trains, a lot of traffic here, but particularly this that I just refer to as the DTX line that goes straight up to from the Davos with the liquor, and it needed a stop here at Fuchs just for maintenance, but then straight to Schaffhausen with the liquor, so that no liquor is being eaten up on the way, and I prohibit all the other lines here from picking up any of that liquor, so that liquor will just accumulate. That was a freight only, passenger only line, but this mixed line here, it's not allowed to pick up any liquors. That liquor will just pile up here at those, and I will wait until there is a sufficient amount, and then send one of those X trains straight up there in order to make sure that Schaffhauseners are getting their liquor. In addition to this Graubunden circle and cross structure, would have been tempting to build sort of an inner circle here as well, but there are so many mountains and so many challenges here. I could have perhaps adjoined these two, but I didn't do that. And so there was an option to build the Tessin region, build a Tessin circle here with Locarno, Bellinzona, and Biasca. I'm not really good with all of these names. It is a little bit of a challenge, but this circle is functioning well, and I added upon these lines. The circle doesn't necessarily have to intersect, but they can be connected through extra lines. So I build 3 of these lines that I refer to as the Tessin line. I have the southern Tessin line here from Biaxa to Avers, going in here through an extra hotel here at Ungerland South, and then there will be one from Biaxa to Andermatt, and from Andermatt another line going to Ilians. So to connect all of these zones in a very mountainous and difficult region. But one can see that I haven't built very many, well, some tunnels and bridges are unavoidable, but a lot of this can be avoided. So best to try to just navigate these contour lines and make sure that everything is running as smoothly as possible. Had this mission objective to transport passengers on an electrical line from Schur, made for a hotel here at Christ, and further on up to Glarus, and then parallel to the St. Gallen circular zone, there is now a more direct express line from Ruti to Schur. That is good for connection, and then also and very busy, indeed very busy. A double set of these lines, but also achieving the mission objectives. I also, now that I had access to buy the Tessin region down here, including Andermatt, then I split this Lucerne zone into a northern Lucerne zone, which connects to the southern Lucerne zone through hotels here at Varus and Naumann, but no more of these strange perpendicular stations here at Saren and Altdorf. Now they are part of their own circle that goes down to Andermatt and up again and around, and being connected here through this hotel. So this is one way of treating a zone, dividing it into 2 different zones. One of those things that are really important to focus on is when one has these missions to reach a certain amount of citizens in a city, to make sure that the flow of goods are going towards that city. Now I made sure that this mineral resource there that I bought and really bumped up, it doesn't go in every which direction. I've cut off supplies to a lot of these cities, none going to Weinfelden, no further on to Constance, that have to be taken care of from other places if they indeed are going to get any of the gravel or minerals. So to make sure that one has the direct line here, can go through Zurich and see that it gets all it needs. Wheat, of course, is no problem. Lumber coming in from both sides, haven't done anything there. Meat, having enough meat, should perhaps buy both some meat up here. That will be the next thing that I did. But it's getting enough meat. Sugar also coming in from two sides, being particularly good connected there. Vegetables, really big vegetable production. Milk is coming there directly, producing its own beer. And then I was very cautious about this. Would it have enough pears? But that turned out to be okay. Then it's producing its own mountain cheese. And then when it came to this herbs that I had a bit of a problem with, I made for this extra little one-liner here, this little freight line, double two of these going back and forth now and connecting onto the inner northern Zurich line, so that these trains that are going around here, they are not having too much to do. Often these inner lines are much less busy. They are now picking up the herbs to make sure that Zurich is getting enough herbs for. And it's still, it is a problem, but at least now 24 wagon loads are on its way. But it's requiring 14 wagon loads a week, so it is a bit problematic. But then at least this alleviates some of it. No need for wool, but it needs its cloth and its fashion from winter hair. And then I connected winter hair, made it for an extra station here that goes from wool resource up here at the Baden circle, Baden zone, that brings both passengers and wool down to winter hair to make sure that those factories are running very well. And as long as the weavery and winter hair is running, then the fashion industry is running. But then one can see I have cut off, so now none of these trains that are going on this Turag zone are allowed to pick up any of those fashion clothing. That means that Zurich is getting more than enough fashion. And here as well, cut off. None of the trains on the St. Gallen zone are allowed to pick up any of the fondue. That fondue is only now served into the Zurich zone, and a lot of it's going into Zurich itself. Zurich is producing its own liquor, and they have enough sugar and pears. Here, with this salt, producing so much salt. I'm not quite sure do I own this now, but it has bumped itself up so much. I thought for a moment there that I might have to cut it off from others, but then there are actually, for once, a big surplus of salt on this map. Lumber, same deal with the lumber. No lumber going from Rutti to St. Gallen, only into Zurich. And up here as well, Schaffenhausen, that it is only on this Baden line where planks are allowed to be picked up, so that most of it goes down to Zurich alone. This of course isn't so profitable, but the mission objective to grow these cities are hard. Haven't got any dried meat. Same winter her here. Winter her is only supplying Zurich because I have done a lot of changes to these trains that are here. There are so many things that are not allowed to pick up at Winter her. You can see I have neglected all of these resources and turned them off. This is it would be better to have a manual setup, a perfect manual setup, but this is a sort of an easier way of doing it. No coal, no steel. I tried to make for the steel production up here, but and then the steel is being used for producing tinfoil, and then I had some hopes that tinfoil will be going down to Zurich. So then yes, some tinfoil is going to Zurich. No watches, no candies, all of these very advanced goods and such. It is still kind of early in the game, so there isn't so much demand for this, but at least take heed for this this little trick to go in and turn off some of these resources here, so that no planks, no tinfoil is being transported into this zone. It's only going to the other zone that would more or less do the trick in Italy. You can have a quick look at the budget, see how things are going there. You can look at the traffic jam journey time, 5%. That is perfect in my experience. Wagons in use, we have about 500. We have 700 trains, and that is about 5 wagons per train. That is also very perfect. And then our budget is just exploding, as it seems, at least from the second to third, and then from the third to the fourth quarter. As soon as all of these cities are being connected, and there are so many passengers going in every direction, and all of the cities are not only connected to with freight, but one can see now we are making 61 millions on mail alone, and that is due to all of these cities that are kind of far away from each other. They are still being able to send mail through to the rail system. See here that they are all being connected here, so that there are a lot of mail going in every which direction, so that makes for an absolute killing. Have a quick look at the flow of goods for these new regions. You can't really spend, these maps are so big that it's hard to go through it all, and we remember this setup up here. It is much the same in Baden and Turog and St. Gallen and in Zurich and Baden Württemberg. It's much the same as a year ago, with exception for these changes that are made in order to make more of them being directed, particularly into Zurich. One can see here in Andermatt, then this being a hub, we can see how these different parts of the zones are getting their different goods. One can check city by city, or one can check sort of hub by hub or zone by zone, say with this Tessin zone here has wheat. Yes, it's lots of lumber. Need to have meat imported from Graubunden. Sugar, has access to sugar from all sides. Has access to vegetables from several sides, and also transporting some of the vegetables and also milk onto Andermatt. Beer, so starting to build up things now. So I think I own this beer brewery down there. And pears going into Tessin, serving that well. And then also with cloth. But then and also actually I have fashion clothing, even though fashion clothing aren't really in demand yet, because they start out very small. They start out of around 10,000 citizens, and then there aren't that many demands. But perhaps more crucial to look at this Graubunden circle, when there's mission to grow the entire canton, this entire concession zone. Then it's really important to make sure that all of the cities, and checking that regularly, all of the cities are getting what they need, but at least they are getting all the wheat that they can dream of. Pretty much all of the cities have their own wheat resource coming in, and extra coming in from down south. Lumber very neatly placed in the middle, and also coming in from other sides, other zones. The Tessin zone, and here from this little, there's also an extra connection line here that goes from Val d'Uz to Chur, in addition to this long line from Schaffhaus to Davos. And we have Chur, Val d'Uz, and we have also this Ruti Chur that goes to Glarus, that connects upon this Graubunden zone, in addition to the northern and southern Tessin lines. Made sure to buy up a lot of meat down here. So there ain't so much livestock, but there is this one livestock resource down here, and that livestock actually is being transported to Avers. So there will be two butcheries. Well, one cannot bump these butcheries up as much as one would like, because the cities are so small. So yeah, now I can bump it up a bit more, but I cannot bump it up all to the max in the beginning. So then buy two of these butcheries, but the rural stations, they can be bounced up as much as one like just immediately. So I think I bounced this up to level 5 or just right away, and then the excess livestock is being transported onto Avers. And one can see that there are still train capacity ready here with these 4 lanes with mixed transportation only. And that was and sugar, extra sugar coming into Davos, of course, for its distilleries. And then also lots of sugar coming here from down south into, and sugar also belonging in the middle, so there wasn't any problem there. Vegetables on each side, very neatly placed on each side of the Graubunden zone. Milk in the middle, going in all to pretty much all of the cities, except for Ilas. But Ilas is getting milk from down south here. Might seem to be an inflation, but there isn't, because this is a freight only line. And then beer at St. Maurice. But then beer is also coming in to a lot of these cities from other places that was being particularly nicely connected. Sure, as well. Ilas being a little bit outside of it, so you can see that it's growing a little bit slower than the others, but good growth anyways. Lots of pears here, so that wasn't any particular problem. Mountain cheese that comes in later, but Davos is now producing mountain cheese for this region, and also having access to export to along its the extra long lines. And then cloth has some cloth and wool down here, and the same here, both having access to their own wool resource. And fashion up in Chur, that being not so much need for fashion down. Oh, there is need for fashion down there, but it also transports up here. Might have been smart to cut that off from these lines and make sure that these lines didn't pick up the fashion that is needed down in Gabon. No fondue yet, but that came in so late, and then yeah, okay, and then there is too little fondue, and then of course I prohibited the delivery of the liquor because all the liquor was going to Schaffhausen. But now that is done, then I could turn this back on, and I could grow. I could grow even further by having to remember this Davos Central, and then the game unfortunately doesn't show that you have turned them off, so you have to really remember this. It's a little bit of a challenge. Often it's useful to just have a little piece of paper and a pencil to write down these things. Salt, no need for salt so much as of yet, but then now it's smart to have this long line, because salt can connect to the Davos and then being taken all the way up to all these needy cities. And then in order to avoid confusion, even though it looks kind of confusing, I have this 3 station set up a lot, say with Heaven, Nappensel, that there is this one is the station that belongs to the St. Gallen zone, and then there is one line here, an extra line now, that goes and connects to the Württemberg zone. But then the long mission required express should be on its own set of stations, because very often I don't want to have warehouses there, because that would make for too long runs. So, and rather want this zone to kind of deliver to that zone, but not touch upon the zone in the long line in the middle, and try as much as possible to not have too many warehouses on these long lines, because that would make for a messy confusion. In practice, it's a little bit hard to explain, but in practice that might make for difficulties when one tries to set up these warehouse connections without having any conflicts. And now having these mineral going into this warehouse here that one can almost not see, and then further on to shore, and then being taken up like this. And then yes, well, there will be others, other minerals as well. One set of minerals down here, and then that goes up here. It connects to this. Well, but then I pretty much guess that sums it all up. One can feel free to like and subscribe, leave some comments, and enjoy the game, and hope to see you next time around, and goodbye.